Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurureva Param Dhamma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Vyapyat Sarvam Trailokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vedya Dravidam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Jai Guru. Om Sahana Bhunatu Sahana Bhunatu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So, Wendy and Mike were gone, and while you were gone, Ashish got realized. And we had a wonderful section of just, as Deepa calls it, succulent Sanskrit. In the English, it comes out a little bit purple. Of this gorgeous poetry of Shankara's attempt to describe the experience of the realization of the self. And then we've moved into this final section called Final Advice from the Guru. So what verse are we on?
531.
You got it? Almost. Say the number again.
531.
531. I thought you said 570.
Yeah, me too.
531.
I have a bookmark. Khato yamiti vijñatum niyamakon vapekshate vina pramana sukshutvam yasmin sati padarthadihi. This is a jar. To know this, what condition is necessary save that the means of knowledge be without any defects, which alone ensures a cognition of the object.
So he's talking about this notion which we call a pramana, a means of knowledge. So for me to say this is a water glass, I have to have the proper means of knowledge, which is my eyesight and my understanding of what a water glass is, so that it's not a horse or a cow. So you have a pramana. So here what he's going into is what is the means of knowledge for knowledge of the self. You need to have the right means of knowledge. What is it? Let's see what he says.
Ayam atma nitya siddha pramane sati bhasate nadesham napi va kalam na shuddhim vapya pekshate. This Atman which is eternal, this Atman which is an eternal truth manifests itself in the presence of the right means of knowledge. It is dependent neither on place nor time nor outward purity.
Yes. So you don't have to go to the Himalayas. You don't have to have a Sanskrit name. It is not conditioned on any kind of action. And Shankara even says it isn't even dependent on any kind of outward purity. Many Hindus, as well as many other religious sects, have ideas of purity, dietary ideas, behavioral ideas. Mike and Wendy may be familiar with the story of the Good Samaritan.
Mhm.
So the story is this man is set upon by robbers on the road from Jericho up to Jerusalem, and he's left for dead. And two Jews come by and they see him and they cross to the other side of the road, continue their journey. But a Samaritan comes and checks him out, has pity on him, takes him to an inn, pays for his upkeep, and says, if I have any money, I'll pay for it on the way back. And the question is, which is neighbor? Well, what a lot of people don't understand is, why did the Jews cross to the other side of the road?
Religious purity.
Say?
Religious purity.
And what was the idea of religious purity?
Touching someone who was sick or bloody would have
dead.
or dead would have defiled them.
And they couldn't have gone to the temple. See? So their notions of religious purity kept them from caring for this man. Now, the Samaritan, they don't worship the Lord in Jerusalem. They do in another mountain up in Galilee. So it didn't bother them. Anyway, so it's not just Hindus who have ideas of religious purity. What's a more contemporary one? Holy Day of Obligation. That's one Mike will know about as a Catholic. What's a holy day of obligation?
It's a day that the church has decided everybody should go to mass.
And what happens if you don't?
In reality, you don't go to mass.
What does the church say?
Oh, you can go to hell.
That's a venial sin.
Yeah.
Outward signs of purity. What Shankara is saying here, and for Hindus, the idea of, oh, don't eat the food with your left hand. That's impure. I remember this lady I met on a train, and her family, they would take the food, they would make a ball out of it, and they would throw it into their mouth. It was so pure, their hand could not touch their mouth. Very pure. What Shankara is saying is none of this makes any. Now, what is the right means of knowledge? Let's review again. We did this, 2-3 weeks ago when we talked about self-realization. What is it? The first knowledge we want to talk about is the real knowledge, which is the direct experience of the self. What is the pramana? What is the means of knowledge for knowing the self? Who remembers?
The self itself.
Yes, the self itself. How do you know that you are you? You do not see, hear, taste, touch, smell, emote, or think yourself. Yet you are not unknown, you are you. In fact, you're always known. When Wendy and I were talking before class, and for 10 minutes, she ceased to exist. It's not. You are always you. It's not dependent on memory. It's not dependent on anything. You are you. Now, again, the great cosmic joke is everybody already has that. So now we're talking about the right means of knowledge for moksha, for liberation. In a sense, the self is always liberated. Or to put it in philosophical terms, our issue is not an ontological issue. Ontology is the science of being. Your being doesn't change. It's not that you're a miserable worm today and you're going to become Brahman. That's not what happens. It's an epistemological problem. What's epistemology?
About existence.
No, it's study of knowing. How do we know? Ontology is existence. So, what happens? We, in a quiet mind, made very pure through all our sadhana, attentive faculty turn toward the self. We endeavor to notice this eternal, constant experience. Subtle intellect reflects on that direct experience. What do I mean by we reflect on a direct experience? When I use frequently, bring your attention to the sensation of the waistband of your trousers against your skin. Are your pants too tight, too loose, or just about right? Okay. Now, what we did was move the attentive faculty towards a direct experience and then reflect on it. Too tight, too loose, just right. But that's not the instrument for the direct experience. The instrument for the direct experience is your skin. You can't, with your mind, touch the waistband of your trousers. It has to be the skin around your tummy. The other one I use, rub your hands together. You rub your hands together, that's a direct experience. Now let's reflect on it. When you rub your hands together, is it motion or stasis? It's motion. Did it make your hands cool or warm? It made them warm. That second process is reflection on a direct experience. Now, if you're sitting on your hands, you cannot rub your hands together with your mind. But we have experiences all the time about which we're inattentive. For example, bring your attention to your breath right now. Feel the breath in the body. You've been breathing all day. But most of us don't pay much attention to our breathing. You can bring the mind's eye to an experience and then reflect on it. Is your breathing shallow or deep? Is it slow or is it fast? It's reflection. Do you understand the distinction between reflecting on and the direct experience? Yes, no.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. These various metaphors fall short because hand rubbing, skin on your waistband, your breath are still a subject-object experience. I know my skin on my trousers. I know hand rubbing, subject-object. I know the breath in the body. But you are not an objective experience. you are. You exist. And your self-evident, swayambhu, self-effulgent, self-luminous, meaning the self illumines, knows itself. And everybody has it. But what we've learned to do in a very subtle mind, take the attentive faculty, and in that space between your thoughts, in samadhi, meaning when the thoughting is stopped, notice who you are. Is there anybody there? Yeah. Is it a person? No. Does it have any form? No. Any shape? No. What's there? I don't know, it's just empty. But it's not nothing, it's you. Don't believe me, look. And then you reflect on this. Oh, lights are on, but nobody's home. There's no gym. There's just Chidakasha, space of pure awareness. And then you have all that wonderful poetry that the Shisha had. So, Brahman, means of knowledge for knowing the self is the self itself, direct experience. The means of knowledge for the Buddhi to become Buddha. This pratyabhijnanam, this recognition, based on the type of investigation set forth in the scriptures. Turn the mind's eye inward. Discriminate between self and the self. Discard all my false identification. In the subtle intellect. Oh. And the exclamation of the Shisha is not, oh, I know Brahman now. I am Brahman. Where was my egoistic self? It was there, and now it's gone. All right, let's see how Shankara moves forward with this discussion of means of knowledge. Going on.
Devadatto hamityeta vijnanam nirapekshakam tadvad brahmavidopyasya brahmaham iti vedanam. I am Devadatta. This knowledge is independent of conditions. Similarly, the knower of Brahman realizes that he is Brahman.
So Devadatta in Sanskrit literature is John Doe. I actually am a John Doe in Sanskrit. So, are you Wendy?
Yeah,
How do you know this?
I just do.
Yeah. You need no outside authority. You don't need your sister or your mother to say, yes, today you're Wendy still. You know, it just is. It just is. And you can put on fancy clothes when you're a hostess at a fancy restaurant. You can put on your schlump clothes when you're gardening. You can put on your sweats when you want to just move around the house. But you're still empty, no matter what clothing you wear or whatever you do. Wendy the chef, Wendy the partner of Lloyd, Wendy the daughter of mother, Wendy Cheska's sister. Wendy. Likewise. Are you? Once we've thoroughly investigated, purified subtle mind, the real nature of that immediate experience, it's myself. Who sees the phone? That's yourself. It's not up in the sky. It's not an experience you're going to get. Oh, I'm Jim, and I'm doing tapas, and someday I will experience the self. I, Jim, am going to experience the self. No. You're experiencing, you're being the self right now, no matter what your stupid mind says.
And the self can never not know the self. Right?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
that's impossible.
Yeah. And that's your direct experience. How old are you?
65.
Yeah. When have you ever not been you? In those 65 years, did you ever doubt your existence? Did you ever question the fact that you shine as awareness? Oh, I had such a miserable childhood. Did you know it? Uh-huh. You see? Oh, I had a really hot marriage and then it turned awful. Did you know all that? Uh-huh. Remember when we studied the Anandamaya Kosha, even in deep sleep, you are aware of the nothingness of the mind folded up. You are eternal. That's why when someone says to me, oh, Jim, 20 years ago, I dropped acid or took ecstasy and I experienced the self and I've been trying to get back there. They had some mind state. I'm sure it was lovely. But what do you know about mind states?
Temporary.
You sure?
Yes.
Anybody here have a permanent mind state? Yeah. But whatever mind state you're in, do you disappear? All right. Any thoughts on this? Next verse.
भानुनेव जगत् सर्वं भासते यस्य तेजसा अनात्मकं मसत्तुच्छं किं नु तस्यावभासकम्. What indeed can manifest that whose effulgence like the sun causes entire fallacious, unreal, and unimportant universe to appear at all?
So the self is not made manifest by some process. I'm not going to go, wow, self. No. That doesn't mean the mind doesn't undergo change. Right now, for many of us, I have the firm conviction that I'm a person, that I'm my body. That this is the power of Maya, even though that is contradicted by my direct experience. You see the bowl on the table? Are you a bowl? No. Really no one is a bowl. You see the lamp?
Yeah.
Are you a lamp? No, really knower of the lamp. Take a deep breath and feel the breath in the body. Do you not know the breath in the body? Anybody have an ache or a pain or an itch or a tension? Do you not know that sensation in the body? Smack your leg. Don't you know that sensation? You're not smacking yourself. You're smacking the body. And you know the body the same way you know the bowl or the lamp. You are not the body. Remember a good experience so you have a feeling of something joyful or loving. Okay. Do you know that feeling? The feeling, you know the feeling the same way you know the bowl or the lamp or smacking your leg. Think the thought 2 + 2. You know the thoughts. Think the thought, I'm a crummy person. You see that thought go by. Think the thought, I'm the best. Don't you see that thought go by? To whom does it refer? To what does it refer? Does it refer to the self or to the body or the body's activities? Tell the truth. The quiet mind. Look within. Notice the knower. What's the truth about yourself? Chidan Anurupa. I'm bliss consciousness. I'm empty like the sky. That doesn't create the self, doesn't achieve the self, attain the self. You're simply noticing what's always been there. And once the mind gets that, it's me, it's myself. How can you lose yourself? Oh, Jim, I've lost my awareness of the self. Okay. And to whom did that stupid idea occur? Do you know you're stupid? Who knows it? You're never not there. Ignorance is abhyasa, superimposition. In my mind, I superimpose on that. direct experience, all sorts of nonsense.
But the direct experience is always there.
Yes.
Never not.
Yes. Don't believe me? Maybe I'm bullshitting you. Maybe Shankara is just making this shit up. Look. See whether you change. Talking with someone this evening over there who's kind of got a foot into the world. He's got a foot in the Buddhist world, a foot in the Christian world. He says, oh, when I'm teaching, I feel so good about myself. And then this week, my mind attacked me, and I felt low self-esteem. My self-confidence just plummeted, you know. And if you're in the dualistic world, the therapist will say, reframe the story. Of course, you're okay. You're a good teacher. You do very well. You're a good looking person. You're nice. You're kind. You have value in the world. Isn't this what the therapists tell us? Bullshit. Thin out the mind. Look within. You see a good person in there. What do you see?
Nothing.
Why settle for being a good person? No, you are God. Aham Brahmasmi. What it means. And God is a changeless reality. You never change. God is omniscient. What is that which is the knower of the field in all fields? Good experience, who knows it? I do. Terrible experience, who knows it? I do. Very mundane experience, who knows it? I do. Wacko psychedelic experience, who knows it? I do. Deep mystic revelation, who knows it? I do. Omniscient, omnipotent. You are the power that enlivens everything in the body, mind, intellect. You are life itself. You are also the ground being of the universe. And I love it. When Moses goes up on the mountain, Mount Sinai, talks to God in the burning bush. Now, one of the things I was told, many of the ancients felt that if you knew God's name, then you could control it through ritual and stuff. You know, Moses may have been working an angle here. And he said, who shall I say sent me? Dude, what's your name? God answers. Now, this is metaphor. This is mystic symbolism. What does God answer? Tell them, I am has sent thee. It's not a name like Imes dog food. It's the purest Vedanta. Not only does God say, I am, you find out who I is, and you will find out who God is. Right there. All right, next verse.
Veda Shastra Puranani Bhutani Sakalyanyaphi Yenartha Vanti Tam Kim Tu Vijñātāram Prakashayet. That by which all Vedas, Shastras, and Puranas and all other beings are endowed with meaning. Verily, what can illuminate that eternal subject?
Yes. So the self is that by which all knowledges are known, be it the Vedas, be it nuclear physics, chemistry, be it recipes. But who can know it save itself? Cannot be known through the known means of perception. Yet it is not unknown. It's ever known. Next verse.
Isha Swayam Jyoti Pranayanta Shakti Isha Swayajyoti Prananta Shakti Atma Prameya Sakala Anubhuti Yameva Vijnaya Vimukta Bandho Jayatyayam Brahma Viduttamottamaha. Here is the self-effulgent Atman of endless power, beyond all conditioned knowledge, yet the direct experience of all. Freed from bondage, realizing this alone, the best among the knowers of Brahman lives his life of victory.
And Swayam Jyoti, he says here, self-luminous. We talked earlier about Praman, means of knowledge. The means of knowledge for knowing the self is the self itself. Realize it, meaning in the subtle intellect, have that recognition. Oh, it's myself. That's who I am. That's what I am. Read the English one more time. My mind just went.
Here is the self-effulgent Atman of endless power, beyond all conditioned knowledge, yet the direct experience of all.
Beyond all conditioned knowledge, meaning knowing a recipe, knowing a computer program, knowing whatever you do, knowing what house you're doing whatever with, with your clients. Those are conditioned knowledges.
Like memory, basically.
Yeah. Yet the direct experience of all. It's you. It's yourself. Now Now, some of us will say, so what? I'm still restless, irritable, and discontent. Well, that's simple enough to deal with. You have a funky mind. Why is your mind funky? Because being in the state of ignorance, you do not know fundamental emptiness of name and form. You do not know that your self nature is the fountainhead, the source of all joy. You do not know that you do not need to be secured, protected, or defended, or reinforced. This is the quality of the mind in ignorance. Mind which has beyond real wisdom. Brahmasmi I am. Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. This world is illusory. Chidananda Rupa. I am the source of all joy. My form is bliss consciousness. Doesn't change the self, changes the mind. Ramana Maharshi, Donald Trump. I tell you, self and Ramana Maharshi is Brahman. The self and Donald Trump is Brahman. Who he is just as much God as Bhagavan. But what's the difference between the two? One we call a saint, the other we call Donald Trump. What's the difference? Their minds. Next verse.
न खिद्यते न विषये प्रमोदो न सज्जते नापि विरज्यते च स्वस्मिन् सदा क्रीड नन्दति स्वयं निरन्तर आनन्द रसेन तृप्तः. Neither grieved nor elated, neither attached nor averse to sense objects, but content with the endless essence of bliss, he sports and revels in the self.
Yes, he sports and revels in the self. So all the various changes and conditions of the world just go by. And the woman of steady wisdom sees them, but has no fundamental attachment or concern for them. You want to have happiness and joy in your life. Let go, let go, let go. So simple. I've got to have it this way. They're doing it wrong. I have to protect my rights. What about my dignity? And all this kind of silliness. What What do we do at the level of vyavahara transaction? Fulfill your role in the world. Do what you do. Know that it's just product of the force of the past. Do it till you don't need to do it anymore. When it's all done, you drop dead. And in the end, there's no real point to any of it. It just is. What's the point of a summer rose? What's it trying to accomplish? No, it's just rosing. It's fulfilling its nature. What's the purpose of the sunset? It's just a sunset. It's beautiful. So the jnani, the person of wisdom, certainly enjoys the world, as there's no fear. But there's also no grabbing. Next verse.
Shuddham dehavyatha tyaktva bala kridati vastuni tathaiva vidvan ramate nirmamo niraham sukhi. Forgetting his hunger and physical pains, a child plays with toys. In the same way, the wise person is happy and revels without the ideas of I and mine.
So children will do that. You ever seen toddlers go out when it's really, really cold, go ride their bikes and stuff like that? Not toddlers, but youngsters. They seem to be impervious to the weather.
You see that in the water in California. I see these young kids like just playing in the water when it's freezing. California babies.
Mhm.
Now I see Indians going out in 110 weather.
That's the lack of choice.
Oh, isn't it always? But the point is, the person of steady wisdom sports. Joy. The person of steady wisdom doesn't need to avoid the world. And if you end up suffering, getting upset, guess what? It's never out there. It's my own attachments and aversions. Laugh at it. Person of wisdom finds their own mind pretty funny. And stupid.
I do that all the time. I'm like, oh my God, why are you going there again? You know, it's just like, really?
I tell you, when I was doing sadhana, my nickname for my mind was Buddha. wanting again. So boring. So repetitive. So mechanical. Then finally it'll stop. That particular klesha won't come up anymore. Next verse.
Chinta shunyam adainyam bheksham shanam panam. Okay, I think it may not be a shloka. Panam saridwarishu swatan trayena nirankusha sthitira bhinidra shamashane vane vastram shalana sholnadi rahitam digvastu shayayamahi sacharo nigamanta vithishu vidam krida pare brahmani. Without the anxiety and humiliation of begging, men of perfection have their food and drink the waters of the rivers. They live free and independent, sleeping without fear in cremation grounds or in forest. Their clothing is in the quarters, which need no washing or drying or some bark and so on. The earth is their bed, and they roam in the avenues of Vedanta while they revel in the Supreme Brahman.
Yes. So the bhikshu, the ascetic, woman or man of steady wisdom, is always inside a sannyasi, a renunciate. Not at all afraid to ask for help. Bhiksha, can you feed me? Be sky clad in India, in the middle of a big city, in the middle of the financial district. You can see some sadhu walking down the street, stark naked, covered with ash all over his body. Anybody seen that? I don't know if they do it anymore. They certainly did 30 years ago.
Find them around temples and things.
Yeah, nobody bats an eye. Oh, you almost want me to give you a blessing. This doesn't mean you have to walk around what they call sky clad, with only the four quarters, the directions for your clothing. I'll tell you the truth about clothing. It's all drag. This is an important point. Do not be identified with your costume. Dress mindfully. Let me give you an example. I had a student for a while that she was young, movie star, good looks, and a very voluptuous figure. And she used to like to dress in a way that showed off her voluptuous figure. And then she'd get angry because men would pay attention to it. I mean, what I want to wear, I should not have to feel, being treated like a sex object. You can do whatever you want. But for example, if you're in the corporate world, why don't you try going to work in a power suit? Dress like Kamala Harris dresses. And then see how people treat you. Everything you wear is making a statement. Always. It's all drag. Don't be identified with one particular mode of dress. Now, this day and age, if you're working in IT, it's almost like reverse. You know, the more casual your attire means how many zeros after your paycheck. Isn't that right?
Does it matter what you wear to work? No, not at all. Right?
But do senior executives wear jeans and t-shirts?
Yeah. Zuckerberg does.
But it varies from business to business. If you're working for the Chase Manhattan, probably it's not the same. But it doesn't matter. The point is, don't be identified. I want to wear this because this is what makes me feel good about myself. It's just all costuming. Make the statement you want to make. Do it consciously. Do it mindfully. That's that simple. Any thoughts on this? So the yogi is appropriate to circumstances. Here's one. So you guys went to a wedding, didn't you, recently? Or was it a baby shower or something? Didn't you go off to Europe for a wedding?
Oh yeah, bachelor party. Bachelor party. It was a
Bachelor party. Okay, well that may be different. But if you actually went to an Indian wedding, would you wear jeans and a t-shirt?
Probably not.
Why not?
Generally, there's a dress code, so you dress.
It's not appropriate to the situation. Yeah.
You're sensitive to.
Yeah. You might not wear a tuxedo, but you might wear a really nice kurta and pajama. And depending on, you know, you wear what's appropriate. And everything in your life is the same way. So the yogi has no fixed sense of, I have to behave this way, I have to talk this way, I have to dress this way. They're appropriate to circumstances. Sometimes what's appropriate is to be an outlaw and a rebel. But you trust your intuition. That's what I say about clothing. It's all drag. Be conscious. Be conscious. Everything you wear makes a statement. Is your clothing making the statement you want to make? All right, next verse.
विमानमालम्ब्य शरीरमेतत् पुनक्त्ययेषान्वे यसान् पुथिस्थान् परेच्छया बालवदात्मवेत्ता यो वक्तलिङ्गो ननु शक्तबाह्यः. He wears no insignia and is unattached to sense objects. He remains in this body without identifying with it and experiences sense objects as they come. By the wish of others, the knower of Atman is like a child.
So the universe brings what needs to be brought, takes away what needs to be taken away. There's no investment. I must have it this way. I can't have it that way. And again, this is the natural state of the jnani. You and me, we practice it. Next verse.
Digambar baro vapi chasambaro va Tvagambaro vapi chidambarastha Unmattavapi cha balavadva Pishachvadvapi charatvadvanyam. Sometimes wearing no clothes except the quarters, sometimes with clothes, sometimes wearing skins, established in the ethereal plane of knowledge absolute, he roams about in the world, sometimes like one insane, sometimes like a child, and sometimes like a ghost.
Yeah. So observing the person of steady wisdom. Can't tell them by their dress. Sometimes they seem to be totally engaged and conscious like every ordinary person. Other times they seem just totally whacked out. Sometimes they're moving through a crowd of society and no one really sees them. Always conscious of Brahman everywhere, reveling in the bliss of their self nature. Next verse.
Kamani kamarupi sa charatyeka charo munihi swatmanaiva sada tushta swayam sarvatmana sthitah. Being of the nature of desirelessness, the sage enjoys sense objects but lives alone. He is ever satisfied with his own self and exists as everything everywhere.
Yes. So again, the sage is not afraid of this world. They can enjoy beautiful music, good food, all the other things that happen in this world. But for them, it's like a thimble full of water out into the ocean. They have another playground. Even when they enjoy a sense object, for the fool, desire, not to desire, become one. For the fool, oh, the pleasure was in the widget, give me more widgets. The jnani, desire and object to desire become one. That really stopped my mind. Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Everywhere. At the end of every century, experiences the Lord. Next one.
Kuchin mudho vidvan kvachit api maharaja vibhavaha kvajit dhanta saumya kvajit jagarachara kalitah kvajit patri bhuta kvajit vamata kwapya viditah charat yevam pragyasata taparamananda sukhitah. Ever enjoying the blissful state of wisdom, the realized man lives, sometimes a fool, sometimes a sage, sometimes with royal grandeur, sometimes roaming, sometimes like a motionless python, sometimes with a benignant expression, sometimes respected, sometimes insulted, and sometimes unknown.
Again, one can never tell from the outside. But the jnani has no agenda anymore. Nothing to be accomplished. All right, one more.
निर्धनोऽपि सदा तुष्टो यः सहायो महाबलः नित्यतृप्तोऽप्यभुञ्जानो यः समदर्शनः. Though without wealth, he is ever satisfied. Though without help, he is very powerful. Though he does not enjoy sense objects, he is eternally content. And though without exemplar, he has equal vision.
Even though no one is equal to the Jnani, they are equal to everyone else. As we were going through this section of the text in 1988, talks about the four quarters and the sky, clothes him as his shelter. There we are in Siddhabari, which is, I think, about 6,000 feet above sea level. It's not that high. The Kulu Valley. And the power, we were outside. All these classes were done outside. There was a big patio, and then Swamiji was up on kind of a stage thing. And the power went out. The whole valley. I don't know if any of you have ever been up reasonably high in a place where the air is pretty clear and there's no light pollution. Look up and you see the stars. And it was unearthly beautiful. And then the Milky Way was this suave gleam across the sky. It's how the ancients saw the sky. Just looked up. All I could think is no cathedral has the beauty and grandeur of this. We don't need palaces. Such an example. It's exactly what Shankar was talking about. Never forget. All right. What verse are we on for next week?
545.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Sri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om.